Hi there, I'm Jim Zirin. Welcome back to more Conversations in the Digital Age. We have a great show in store for you. With us is a very special guest, Neil de Grasse Tyson, director of the Hayden Planetarium at the Museum of Natural History. He's an astrophysicist who mixes science with more than a dash of comedy, pop culture, and showmanship to make dry subjects come alive, not only for kids, but also alleged adults like you and me. Neil is a host of a dynamite late-night TV series on the National Geographic Channel entitled Startalk. He claims that the 20-episode series will tell you everything you need to know about space travel, science fiction, the universe, and beyond. You won't stop laughing, learning, or thinking. Neil, we're delighted to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you. That summary, we're done.
We're done.
Summarized the
we're
whole
done.
thing.
The whole thing. But I want to hear it from you. Now, first of all, we're so fascinated with stars in our culture.
Yeah, we
are. We talk about movie stars. We talk about...
But the universe stars were the first stars.
Those were the first ones.
And then the movie culture then had to find some way to exalt them.
Right.
And so then they started calling them stars.
Right. So we have Star Trek and we have Star Wars and now we have Star Talk and we have Hoagie Carmichael's Stardust. When are we going to stop thinking about stars?
I hope never. Stars are, most of the contents of, the matter content of the galaxy and of the universe. So it's a good thing to think about. And plus our atoms are derived from stars. We are stardust, literally and figuratively. So let's keep it going.
Now you call yourself a personal astrophysicist. First place, what is an astrophysicist?
Well, so what we do, there's several thousand of us in the world. So I happen to be more visible than the others, but I don't carry special expertise relative to my colleagues. Any one of my colleagues could sit here and tell you exactly what I'm telling you now. And what we do is you look at the laws of physics as they manifest on Earth and then apply them to the rest of the universe. And from there you can deduce things like the origin of stars, origin of the planets, what planets are made of, is there life, should Pluto be a planet, the black holes, Big Bang, all the things you've seen addressed in headlines and in sci-fi movies. Typically they have roots in the research that my field does in this regard.
But the other astrophysicists are just plain astrophysicists. You're a personal astrophysicist. Now, what is a personal astrophysicist?
I say I'm your personal astrophysicist.
Then what the hell does that mean?
It means I'm there for you.
You're here for me. That's good.
I'm there for you. I'm accessible. I don't know how many astrophysicist people know.
You're the only one I know.
That's right. So that makes me your favorite astrophysicist.
Without question.
I want people to feel comfortable thinking about the universe because there's a lot of perspective you can glean from learning what our place is in the universe, where we come from, and where we're going. There's a lot of insight there. And what we do on Startalk, in the TV show as it appears on Nat Geo, but also, so it's jumped species twice. It started as a radio show that was funded by the National Science Foundation, which I'm very proud to assert that. And our goal was to have it be sort of commercially viable. But we knew the only way that could happen is if we plugged it in to culture in some way. And so Startalk is the collision, or the blending, the tapestry woven when you explore all the ways that science touches our daily lives. And so then National Geographic took interest, so jumped species to become a TV show. And we still make 50 radio shows a year, but they cherry pick 20 out of those 50, and those get elevated to television. And it jumped species again and became a book, and which we're very proud of.
Book called Startalk.
A book called, so we're very proud of that. It wasn't clear how that would work, but it was National Geographic Books that said, we got this. And we say, you sure? They say, were you sure? And then you realize, we looked at the book and was like, oh my gosh, of course they got it, because it's National Geographic books. This is what they do. That's all they do, is turn ideas into something beautiful that you want to just keep turning the pages.
So you are an astrophysicist, a personal astrophysicist, an author. I happen to know you're a poet and a stargazer.
No, I rhyme words every now and then. That's not a poet.
a talk show. All right, you write doggerel.
Thank you. Better. That's way better. Uh-huh.
A talk show host,
Yeah.
TV and radio.
Yes.
I mean, who is the real Neil de Grasse Tyson?
Well,
Please tell me.
Well, that assumes that one has to be different things to do all of the above. But a person can be a father and a husband and a student, and you can be many things, provided they overlap in some fundamental way. So for me, all of those activities overlap in the Venn diagram of what one can do best. And right in the center is the sweet spot that I bring to the public.
Now, is the comedy and pop culture, which is part of your show, is that designed simply to be a spoonful of sugar with the science?
I like the way you say that.
Lecture to
Okay.
make the medicine go down, or
Okay.
is there really a relationship here between pop culture and comedy and science?
So think of it as a triangle. So we have comedy. My co-host for the show is always a professional stand-up comedian. And we have a stable of several of them that come in depending on their schedule and ours. And then we have the guest who I interview, who is hardly ever a scientist. It is someone hewn from pop culture, who you would not think science had anything to do with. And then there's the science. So this three bits here, I have a conversation with the person from pop culture and explore all the ways that science plugs into their livelihood. You follow that pop culture person to the show because you're a fan of theirs. If this is who they are, this is why we bring them onto the show. And you begin to realize that science matters in almost every way conceivable in a person's life, in your health, in the technology that enables you to do your job as an actor, as a performer, as a politician, and the science issues that matter. We've had President Clinton on. Just to give you a quick example, this is in a previous season. And in that conversation, since we're kind of talking about science, and it's not a test of how much science he knows, it's an exploration of ways that science has mattered to him. He said on the table out in the Oval, I think it was the Oval Office, he's got some powerful people around the table from internationally represented, and there might be some tense moment. And he had on loan from NASA a moon rock that he kept in the middle of the table. And anytime the conversation was at an impasse, he said, "This is 4.5 billion years old, and it's from the moon." And we said, "Ooh!" It'll just put a cosmic perspective on, and then it jump starts the conversation, and then you have a new place to begin, and perhaps a better place to end. So that's what goes on there. Now, if the conversation or if the science begins to weigh down the flow, the comedian is a valve of levity. So we have the valve of gravity, we have the valve of levity, and I'm in control of those valves during the talk show. So in that way, we guarantee, or we can assert, that we're hitting a consistent level of information, enlightenment, entertainment, and star power. And this appears to be a very a fertile, I don't want to call it a formula because then it sounds formulaic, but a fertile recipe for tickling people's geek underbelly.
What does the geek mean? What is a geek?
Well, no, geek is do you do things that maybe some years ago might have gotten you slammed into the lockers by the popular kids, or might have
happened all the time.
Did they give you a wedgie? All the abuse that kids who might have enjoyed school and did well and had certain hobbies that were not popular. Maybe, again, in the old days, ham radios, did you take apart electronics and try to put it back together? Today, the geek community, which you can find manifest in any Comic-Con, the benchmark Comic-Con is in San Diego, but now they're all around the country. And elsewhere around the world, arguing the superpowers of superheroes. That's what geeks do. That's what, is the lightsaber, how real is the lightsaber? How would the warp drive work? So when you have those kinds of arguments, think about it. You were brought there by the storytelling palette of science fiction, but you land in a place where you're trying to invent a tomorrow. And the people who invent tomorrow are those who are scientifically literate and are engaged either in the art of representing it or in the technology of creating it.
Because I thought...
I think everybody's got a little bit of that geek underbelly. I think everybody has wondered what their superpower might be. I think everyone has wondered what kind of new role would technology play in their lives in the future? Will we be dominated by, will our overlords be artificially intelligent robots? I don't think those questions are local or are contained only within geeks. I think everybody thinks this. And Startalk explores all of the ways science has touched our lives and will continue to touch our lives.
So a geek is kind of a good thing to be.
Well, long ago it was you did not want to be a geek.
And it evolved.
It evolved.
And
I think I know why. Because beginning in the 1980s, you remember the movie The Revenge of the Nerds. I think that hatched an egg that began to grow.
So is there a difference between a geek and a nerd?
The definitions of these words are bandied back and forth. For me, I put them together.
They're interchangeable,
I think
as far as you're concerned.
Yeah. After Best Buy had the Geek Squad, with proudly labeled on the side of their van, which would go and repair your electronics, and Apple stores have their Genius Bar. They're all proudly geeks. They can recite digits of pi. They know hexadecimal. Things that I think
that make the head spin.
Possibly, but I think what enabled geeks to rise in stock value, if you will, is beginning in the 1980s when computing became a personal thing. We had a personal computer and people started having computers in the workplace. You started having emails. You began to realize it was the geeks who can fix your computer, who could teach you how to use it. And then all of a sudden we had value to other people who previously completely discounted us.
And the nerds could do the same thing.
Yeah, basically.
Basically the same thing. Now, your resident comedian is on set with you.
Yes.
You really talk across to the resident comedian.
Yeah, so the comedian is not have you heard the one about that would be like the one-liner type comedian.
Right.
These comedians are of the species of comedian who make acute observations of social, cultural, political mores.
So no two aliens walked into a bar.
They might have one of those, but that would be a very different kind of way they would come back in the conversation. They have what they contribute are astute observations of how the conversation can be interpreted that in a way that might make you smile.
Okay,
or even laugh.
Then you have this resident guest from or special guest from the world of pop culture.
Yes.
And that's on a screen behind you. So this is something you've taped in advance.
Exactly. So I've recorded the interview with the pop culture figure in advance because I don't presume that they'll always, we're not flying A-listers into my office for this interview. If they're in town, I live in New York City. We are recording in New York City. This is a traffic route for high-profile people for whatever else they're doing, and then we sort of snatch them in for the interview and then send them back along their way. I also travel quite a bit, and we summon up the cameras to film people who might be in another city where I would happen to be. Then we have the interview, and we talk about anything. Whatever matters in that person's life, and I'm poking it with science. If the guest is a philanthropist, let's say they want to save the whales, let's say. Well, I'm not going to ask the celebrity details of marine mammalogy, okay? No, because they're not an expert. But it's an excuse to create the conversation. I'll bring a marine biologist onto the show to react to what happened in that conversation. So now that's really the valve of gravity combined with the valve of levity.
A marine biologist is a valve of levity?
No, a valve of gravity, and the comedian is the valve of levity. And then both of those combined turn the conversation I had with the
special guest.
The special guest into so you come for the special guest and you stay for the science. That's how you should think about it.
So it's the special guest brings them into the hall and then you hit them with science. So it's the special guest is really, as Hamlet would say, a play within a play.
Possibly, I like that. I like that. It's not quite a bait and a swap, because a bait and a swap implies you're actually swapping. It's bait and then you eat the bait.
Bait and then eat the bait. Well, let's watch the play within the play. We have a clip of the play within the play you did with none other than Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, this would have been in my office, that's right.
And let's watch that.
Sure.
I want to see, somebody who saves the earth, who looks a little bit like me, whose behind is a little bit bigger, whose chest is on the floor. But when these superpowers kick in, ooh, she could slap a whole nation of people on the way to taking care of business. That's what I want.
There's nothing like Whoopi Goldberg.
Nothing like Whoopi Goldberg.
So, but did you know that she's thinking about superheroes? Like I said, this is the geek underbelly that so many people have, but most interviews don't have the occasion to bring them out within them. But on Startalk, it's a safe space.
A safe space.
for all of your geeky, nerdy thoughts.
Now, you had her on talking about medical marijuana.
Oh, so in another clip, yeah. So again, the interview is about whatever interests them. This is what,
But medical marijuana has nothing to do with astrophysics, or does it?
Oh, right.
I mean, you get high, I guess. So, so that you're reaching for the stars.
Yeah, did you reach Alpha Centauri on that token? So thanks for clarifying this. The show is about science. And though I be an astrophysicist, what matters here is science literacy and science inquiry. So depending on who the guest is, different kinds of science might come out within it. And so that's where my in-studio expert brings the expertise that I might not otherwise have. And so in the case of the Save the Whales, I bring it. I don't know anything about marine biology. I bring one in. In the case of medical marijuana, where that conversation ultimately went, we bring in someone who's an expert on the medical effects of brain-altering drugs, who has studied this with, EKGs or EEGs on the brain. And so that's an academic person reacting to the topic that was put on the table by the celebrity guest, in this case, Whoopi Goldberg.
Even though nothing to do with astrophysics.
But it has to do with science and science literacy. So it's where science and pop culture collide, not where astrophysics and pop culture collide.
I see.
But astrophysics being a subset of science means occasionally there are astrophysical topics, like the search for aliens. Nobody doesn't love the aliens, right? So we can talk about that.
Everyone in the bar loves the aliens when they walk in.
Everybody. So occasionally there are astrophysical topics, and then I bring my expertise.
Do you have any idea what an alien would look like?
Apparently Hollywood has no clue, because they think they'll all have 2 legs, 2 arms, a torso, a head, eyes, ears, and that's basically human.
And do they arrive on a flying saucer?
I would love it if they did, because that would be technology we haven't mastered yet, and then we could learn from them.
I see. But people think they see flying saucers all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we just
UFOs, unidentified flying objects.
Right. And if you don't, just remember what the U stands for, unidentified. Once you say, I saw a UFO, really that's the end of your conversation. But people say, I saw a UFO. It must have been an alien visiting from another planet observing. No, you just said you don't know what you saw. Unidentified flying object. If you saw a flying saucer with aliens in it, then it's an IFO.
An IFO.
An identified flying object. So we just need better evidence than
this is alien saucer N653. It's identified.
Exactly. The tail number.
Tail number is very important. Now,
No, I'm just saying.
You know, and I know we've never been visited.
We just need. If we have been visited, the evidence put forth does not satisfy a skeptic. That's all. It's that simple. Just We just need better evidence than
So
anything that people have put
So
forth.
if there is life on some distant star or asteroid...
That's a different question from saying, have we been visited by
Well, but
intelligent
if
aliens?
there's life that's more advanced, more scientifically advanced than ours, we would have been visited, don't you think?
Possibly, unless they visited and just kept going
They
on the
didn't-
grounds that
they didn't like it.
there was no sign of intelligent life on Earth. That's why they...
That's quite possible.
That's my best explanation for why they haven't visited.
So which star, you think, has the best chance of sustaining human life?
Human life?
Yeah.
So it'll be what planet? Well,
The planet. So
yeah, well,
Proxima Centauri?
well,
or-
let's work our way out there. So in our own solar system, if we put you anywhere other than certain selected places on Earth, you'd be dead within minutes. So the universe is supremely hostile to biology. And even on Earth, most places I would drop you on Earth, you'd be eaten, you would freeze, you would dehydrate, you would just die. If I dropped you butt naked in most random places, close your eyes and drop yourself on a place. Are you in the Sahara? Are you in the North Atlantic? Are you in the middle of a jungle?
Unless I had survival skills like Robinson Crusoe.
Not if you, well, if I drop you butt naked, I don't know.
I hope I wouldn't be alone.
Without a hunting gun and clothing to keep you warm and a wetsuit so that you don't freeze in the North Atlantic, you're dead within minutes. So such is the case on any other planet in the solar system. But the planet that comes closest would be Mars. That's the comes closest. It takes you longer to die on Mars than on any other place. All right, so if you go to other planets that orbit other stars, the catalog now has thousands of them, in the last few years, by the way. So this is a major modern discovery as part of our cosmic consciousness. There are planets that we judge to be Earth-like, that are in the Goldilocks zone, not too close, not too far from their host star, about the same gravity. We're thinking maybe it would have an atmosphere. So there's a target list of planets we might visit if we were going to prioritize them. To say, could they sustain humans, or I don't know. Microbial, possibly. Because microbes exist in all kinds of environments.
Is it just a case of a nice place to visit?
I think
The Earth is going to burn out one day, isn't that right?
Well, we could trash Earth to the point where it can no longer support us. Then we'd have to look for another planet. And if we did that, we'd have to turn that planet into Earth. And there's a word for that. It's called terraforming. Great words of the last couple of decades. But what I always say is, if you have the power to terraform Mars, to turn it into Earth, then you have the power to turn Earth back into Earth.
But isn't it true sometime in 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years, the sun is going to burn out?
Yeah, about 5 billion years.
5 billion years, but
I tweeted this recently. People lost their minds. I just said, in 5 billion years, the sun will expand and engulf our orbit, while the ember that was once Earth vaporizes.
So we've got to
Then I
find
said, have a nice day.
We've got to hurry up and find a place to go.
Well, if doing it before 5 billion years passes is to you hurrying up, sure, then we have to hurry.
Well, as President Kennedy said, let us begin. Don't we need to develop the technology to travel in space and reach someplace that is hospitable to life?
We could do that because we like to explore, and that would be why I and my colleagues would do it. We could do that because it would stoke our scientific literacy like no other force put upon us. That is what you might tell someone who doesn't care about exploration but cares about wealth. Or you can do it because you don't want us to go extinct. But reasons for going extinct, if you ranked them, probably they're, nuclear exchange, runaway virus, food supply runs out. There are other things that are a little closer to us that we have control over that maybe we should prioritize if your biggest worry is going extinct.
Well, are there people thinking about this?
Well, who was it? Zuckerberg just announced an effort to rid the world of disease. I think that is a completely reachable goal of all disease. And that way, a virus comes up, it's like, we got you.
Quite well.
Bacteria, get out of here.
You ought to put him on with some of his Facebook friends. Well, unfortunately, we're rapidly running out of time, Neil. This has just been terrific. But
You only allocated a half hour for this conversation.
I should have. The conversation with you
This
could last
is the
3 days.
universe.
That's right. It could last 1 billion years until we stop going.
Yeah, we got to live longer to do that, yeah.
Yes, indeed. But I have a question for you. You say the universe is hilarious. What's so hilarious about the universe?
Oh, I think just things that Startalk addresses. For example, it came up one time, what would it be like to have sex in space? Just as an example. And in
Well, this is a great thing to close on.
in zero
Why
G.
didn't we talk about sex at the beginning of the program?
In zero G, most things you would do on Earth would send you careening into the wall in zero G. So you need straps and Velcro, and you have to do it differently. These are the kinds of things. How does science matter and plug into things you otherwise care about? It's our objective to get science to be part of a person's daily thought, whether or not you become a scientist or a STEM professional, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Well, this has been marvelous. We have to go, but thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for coming by. And Neil de Grasse Tyson making us think about the universe in new and different ways. We're delighted that you were here. I'm Jim Zirin. All the best and take care.